March 22, 1960. The Copa Room at the Sands Hotel, Las Vegas. 2,000 people filled every seat, expecting to see the legendary Sammy Davis Jr. perform his sold-out show. But when the curtain opened, instead of music and dancing, they found Sammy standing alone at center stage with a microphone in his hand and fire in his eyes. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice cutting through the excited chatter, "I see that some of you have been seated in a special section tonight. A section reserved for people who look like me." The room went dead silent. Everyone knew what he was talking about. The back corner tables, the colored section, the segregated seating that Vegas had quietly maintained even as the rest of America was changing. What Sammy said next didn't just end his performance. It ended segregation in Las Vegas forever. But the price he paid for that stand would nearly destroy his career and change the city's power structure in ways no one saw coming. So what did Sammy do that night that made the most powerful men in Vegas tremble? And how did one moment of defiance reshape an entire city? To understand this story, we have to understand Las Vegas in 1960. The city was booming, but it was still a segregated town. Black entertainers could perform on the Strip, but they couldn't stay in the hotels where they worked. They couldn't eat in the restaurants. They couldn't gamble in the casinos. And when they performed, black audience members were confined to separate seating areas. It was a twisted system that made millions off black talent while denying black people basic dignity. Sammy Davis Jr. had been fighting this system for years, but quietly, diplomatically. He would negotiate better treatment for himself, better accommodations, small improvements. But he had never directly confronted the segregation that affected his own audience. That changed on March 20th, 1960. When Sammy received a letter that broke his heart. The letter was from a 12-year-old girl named Ruby Washington, whose family had saved for months to buy tickets to see Sammy perform. "Welcome to Sammy Davis Jr. Secret Stories, the only channel dedicated to uncovering the untold moments that shaped the legend himself. I'm thrilled you're here with us today. Whether you're watching from New York, London, Tokyo, or anywhere else in the world, you're now part of our family that celebrates the incredible life of Mr. Entertainment. If this is your first time here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We drop new exclusive stories about Sammy every single day that you won't find anywhere else. And if this story moves you, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Your support helps us bring these amazing, untold tales to light. Now, let's dive into tonight's incredible story of courage, principle, and the night Las Vegas changed forever. Dear Mr. Davis, the letter read in careful 12-year-old handwriting. My daddy says we have to sit in the back corner even though we paid the same money as everyone else. He says it's because we're Negro, and that's just how things are. But I don't understand why being Negro means we can't sit up close to see you sing. You're Negro too, and you're on the stage. Can you please tell them to let us sit with everyone else? Sammy read that letter 3 times, tears streaming down his face. Here was a little girl asking him to use his power to change something he had been tolerating for years. That night, Sammy called an emergency meeting with his management team. "I'm done with this," he told them. "I'm not performing for segregated audiences anymore." His manager, Cy Marsh, went pale. "Sam, you can't do this. You'll be blacklisted. Vegas is worth millions to your career." "And what's my career worth if I'm performing for people who think some human beings are less valuable than others?" Be practical, Sam. You can't change the whole system overnight. Maybe not. but I can stop being part of it. On March 22nd, Sammy arrived at the Sands for what everyone thought would be a normal performance. But as he looked out at the audience during sound check, he saw it clearly. The invisible line that divided the room. White patrons in the prime seats, black patrons relegated to the back corners and side tables. In that back corner, he spotted them. The Washington family. Ruby, the 12-year-old who had written to him, sitting with her parents at a table so far from the stage she would need binoculars to see his face. That's when Sammy made his decision. When the curtain opened at 9 p.m., instead of launching into his usual opening number, Sammy walked to center stage and began to speak. Ladies and gentlemen, I see that some of you have been seated in a special section tonight. A section reserved for people who look like me. The silence was deafening. 2,000 people knew exactly what he was talking about, but no performer had ever addressed it so directly. Now, I've been performing in Las Vegas for 8 years, Sammy continued. And I've accepted this arrangement because I was told it was necessary. That it was just business. That it was how things had to be. He paused, scanning the room. But tonight, I received a letter from a young girl named Ruby Washington. Ruby is 12 years old, and she asked me why she has to sit in the back when she paid the same money as everyone else. And you know what? I don't have a good answer for her. Nervous murmurs rippled through the audience. This wasn't entertainment anymore. This was something else entirely. So, here's what we're going to do, Sammy announced. Everyone in this room paid to see a show tonight. Everyone deserves to see it from wherever they want to sit. Ruby Washington and her family, would you please come down here to the front row? The room erupted. Some people applauded, others shifted uncomfortably. A few got up and left immediately. Ruby Washington, wide-eyed and terrified, slowly stood up from her back corner table. Her parents tried to stop her, afraid of the consequences. But Sammy gestured encouragingly. Come on down, honey. Everyone else, please make room. As the 12-year-old girl and her family walked to the front of the room, something remarkable happened. Other black patrons began moving from their segregated sections to empty seats throughout the venue. Some white patrons welcomed them. Others glared in disapproval. But Sammy wasn't finished. Now, some of you might be uncomfortable with this, he said, his voice growing stronger. Some of you might think I'm overstepping my bounds. But let me ask you something. How would you feel if you paid full price for a ticket and were told you had to sit in the worst seats because of how you were born? He gestured to Ruby, now sitting in the front row with tears of joy in her eyes. This little girl saved her allowance for months to see this show. Her parents worked extra shifts to afford these tickets. They have every right to see it from the best seats in the house. That's when Jack Entratter, the Sands entertainment director, appeared at the side of the stage, frantically signaling for Sammy to stop. But Sammy had gone too far to turn back now. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a choice to make tonight. I can perform this show and pretend that everything is fine, that segregation is just business as usual. Or I can take a stand for what's right. He set down the microphone and walked to the edge of the stage. I choose to take a stand. This performance is canceled. But it's not canceled because I don't want to entertain you. It's canceled because I refuse to entertain a segregated audience. The room exploded into chaos. Some people cheered, others booed. Many just sat in stunned silence. Your tickets will be refunded, Sammy continued over the noise. And when this venue is ready to treat all customers equally, I'll be happy to perform here again. With that, Sammy Davis Jr. walked off the stage, leaving 2,000 people and a room full of casino executives in complete shock. The immediate aftermath was swift and brutal. Within hours, Sammy received calls from other Vegas venues canceling his future bookings. His agents were fielding threats from casino owners who saw him as a dangerous troublemaker. Frank Sinatra called him at 2 a.m. "Charlie, what the hell did you do tonight?" "I did what I should have done years ago, Frank." "You know they're going to try to destroy you for this, right?" "Let them try," Sammy replied. "Frank, I looked at that little girl tonight, realized I've been part of the problem. I've been so grateful for my own success that I forgot about everyone else who was being left behind." But something unexpected began to happen. The story of Sammy's stand spread beyond Las Vegas. National newspapers picked it up. Civil rights leaders praised his courage. And most importantly, other black entertainers began to take similar stands. Within a week, Lena Horne refused to perform at a segregated venue in Miami. Harry Belafonte canceled a tour of segregated theaters in the South. The movement was spreading, but the real change came from an unexpected source: the casino owners themselves. 3 weeks after Sammy's protest, Jack Entratter called him with surprising news. "Sam, we want you back, but there's one condition." "What's that?" "No more segregated seating, ever, starting with your return engagement next month." Sammy was stunned. "What changed your mind, Jack?" "Economics," Entratter replied honestly. "After your protest, we started getting calls from black customers saying they were taking their business elsewhere. And frankly, we can't afford to lose that revenue. So this is just about money." It started about money. But Sam, after watching what happened that night, seeing how happy that little girl was to sit in the front row, maybe it's about more than money now. On April 15, 1960, Sammy Davis Jr. returned to the Copa Room at the Sands Hotel. For the first time in Las Vegas history, the audience was integrated. Black and white patrons sat wherever their tickets placed them, with no segregated sections. Ruby Washington and her family had front row seats. Before Sammy began his first song, he spoke to the crowd. "3 weeks ago, I canceled a performance in this room because I refused to entertain a segregated audience. Tonight, I'm proud to perform for all of you, sitting wherever you choose, united by nothing more than a love of music." The standing ovation lasted for 6 minutes. By the end of 1960, every major venue on the Las Vegas Strip had quietly eliminated segregated seating. The change that civil rights leaders had been fighting for through legislation and protests, Sammy Davis Jr. had achieved through the simple act of refusing to perform. Ruby Washington, now in her 70s, still tells the story of the night Sammy Davis Jr. called her to the front row. "He didn't just give me a better seat that night," she says. "He gave me dignity. He showed me that I mattered as much as anyone else in that room." March 22, 1960. The night Sammy Davis Jr. chose principles over profit and changed Las Vegas forever. The night he proved that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply refuse to participate in something wrong. The night a little girl's letter inspired a legend to find his courage.